This is how I feel right now. I could end up being wrong.
Careful.
I feel like I'm actually trying to talk myself into being concerned by these Warriors. But Sean, I feel the idea of Steph Curry going off 4 games in a series against a Rockets team, I don't see it happening. Because I think that's what's going to happen. I don't see the Warriors really winning without Steph playing out of his mind. The Houston Rockets will play either the Golden State Warriors or the Memphis Grizzlies. What happens entirely depends on what goes down tomorrow night when those two teams play one another. It's a safe assumption that the Warriors are going to win that game. It's a safe assumption. I understand that the Grizzlies have Ja Morant and that this isn't the Warriors team of old, but I'm looking at this Memphis team that just fired its head coach not too long ago with a bit of a side eye. I don't really take them seriously. So I do think the Warriors are going to win. And I guess the question is now, are we at a point where, as a Houston Rocket fan, you can look at the Golden State Warriors and have little to no fear? Are we there yet? Obviously, things have happened. Whether it's 27 missed threes, the very many series that James Harden's Rockets went up against those Golden State Warriors, which always ended in an L. I know that that's got to be weighing heavily in the back of your mind. You know that Steph Curry can go off at any moment, even if he wasn't the last time that the Rockets played the Warriors, where he was held to just 3 points. And Jimmy Butler's complaining afterwards about the officiating. And I'm sure Steve Kerr probably would have too if they gave him a microphone to get sanctimonious on. One of the things that I'm wondering is just, where are you now as a Rockets fan or someone who just follows the Rockets when it comes to their matchup against that Golden State team? I mean, the Rockets should win that series, right? Or are you constantly going to be thinking about the past? Are you going to be looking at Golden State thinking to yourself, well, they have Steph and they got Draymond, and even if it's a different version of Draymond, I still am nervous about those jerseys and specifically one of the greatest basketball players ever in Steph. That is really what would concern me. But the odds of Steph Curry, this is how I feel right now. I could end up being wrong.
Careful.
I feel like I'm actually trying to talk myself into being concerned by these Warriors. But, Sean, I feel the idea of Steph Curry going off 4 games in a series against a Rockets team, I don't see it happening. Because I think that's what's going to happen. I don't see the Warriors really winning without Steph playing out of his mind.
Yeah, if we get that matchup, Curry will have to be mostly a carry job from Curry. There might be one game, game 3 or 4, where it's kind of all the others, because that happens in a playoff series where the star doesn't have a good game, but it's a home crowd gives them energy, and you're like, oh my God, Gary Payton just sent us home? Gary Payton the second? My main worry, beyond Steph, which they just have the best offensive player in the series, it's not even close with Steph, it's Draymond. It's just Draymond Green, and it's less like he'll actually have a positive effect for the Warriors, and it's more of just, I don't want to deal with this headache. I already know we're going to start 2 shows with, can you believe with Draymond Green, the Bush League stuff he was doing to Alperen Şengün? So
We already had it just a week ago.
Yeah, it's just, it's a dread, I would say, and you add in the history, the battle scars that I have when I look at that jersey and that court, and then you throw in, not only do they have the best offensive player in the series in Steph Curry, not only do they have Draymond Green, which will be a pain to deal with, then you also have Jimmy Butler out there too. You have playoff Jimmy. It's just there's just so many killers on that lineup. It's only those 3 guys, but that's enough. And you look at the Rockets and you feel good about the kind of sum of their parts, but individually you're not going in with they got Jalen Green or they got Steph Curry, but we got Jalen Green.
Right. It really, I have no idea what to think about any of these Houston Rockets
It's
players
going to be the
in the
first
playoffs.
test.
This is their first one. And it's not even like they had a play-in tournament or anything last year, you know? We're just looking at this Rockets team, and they are straight playoff versions, which does lend itself to inexperience, fumbling around, being awkward, you know? It does lend itself to that. I'm just saying the truth. I think it's going to be Golden State. They do have to beat Memphis. I don't think it's impossible for Memphis to win.
No.
But I do think it's going to be Golden State. And I'm not as concerned about Golden State as I would be in years past, even though there's a healthy amount of respect. I just feel like this time around, this is the Rockets' year. Against this Golden State team, they can finally put the boogeyman to bed now that they all have gray hair, you know? Although
that helps.
Does Steph have any salt and pepper? I know Draymond's got a lot of white now in the beard.
Yeah, no,
Looks
that
like
definitely.
Gandalf out there.
Nah, not
I
that,
am
not quite
Gandalf.
that.
I am Draymond the White.
That's LeBron, really.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
But it is 100% the scars of the fan base. Because if you think about the players on the team, none of the players were there. Not even
None of them.
Not even Jeff Green.
Not even Jay Sean Tate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff Green, that's like probably the closest
That's
one.
the closest one. I think he was on the team the next year in the bubble. I mean, Steven Adams has his own history with the Golden State Warriors, being part of those Thunder teams, famously getting kicked directly in the nuts by Draymond Green in, what was that, 2016?
See, the thing with Draymond is it's happened so many times.
Yeah.
When are we talking about it?
Whichever time that specifically happened. I think it was in that awesome 2016 series that those two teams played. But it really is I don't want to say like the worst case scenario, but the worst case scenario in the mindset of most Rockets fans that I know, where they're just it's less about the specific X's and O's matchup, because they do have the bodies to throw at Steph and at Jimmy to make them at least have to work for it and make it a hard, long series for those guys who will not have a rest advantage in any way. They're going to have to play Tuesday, probably balls to the walls or pretty close to that. Just like yesterday, they had to play balls to the walls to lose in overtime to the Clippers to get sent down to the 7th seed. So they are going to be an older team, one of the older teams in the league, coming in with less rest than a young team. But I'm also like not really thrilled about how the Rockets finished the season. Like, I get
they didn't like the last 3 games where they're not really trying.
I just would have liked a little bit better of an effort on Sunday. They played I think mostly everybody on Sunday. It's just it didn't look great. So hopefully game 1 in a playoff series they come in with a little bit more energy. Also, I think the Nuggets had stuff to play for where the Rockets didn't.
Correct.
So that's a little bit of it. But I think that the inexperience gap and the fact that it's specifically the Golden State Warriors, that's where most of my dread is coming from.
And I imagine most people are there too. And this is, again, not me disrespecting the Warriors and trying to create bulletin board material for them.
They're gonna clip this.
This is just not.
I hope they do clip.
This is just not that team. It's not that team. They're not that team. They're not.
They're 24-8 since the Jimmy Butler trade.
Okay, but it's the stupid March-April dynamic of the NBA.
That is true.
Know?
And they went 23-8, and they're still the 7th seed. So that also speaks to there's not really a team that's like an easy mark in this year's playoffs. At least the top 7 seeds, assuming that Golden State wins. If Memphis does win, then whew. It's still not easy, but you dodged a real bullet because the Grizzlies haven't beaten like a real playoff team. They have beaten a real playoff team, but they haven't beaten a real playoff team since like the All-Star break. The best team that they've beaten is the Detroit Pistons, who solid, but they also have like 43 wins and would be in the play-in if they're in the Western Conference.
Right. They're fun, but they're not serious.
Yeah, and so that's what Memphis is hanging their hat on. They beat the Heat, who are a 10 seed in the East, so they have beaten technically teams that are still alive, but they don't have any like, oh my God, they just beat the Nuggets or anything.
Right, exactly.